Hello, children. It's Grandma Carla, and I'm finishing up Abby Lost at Sea. We're reading chapter 20, and remember that Abby and Luke just got home to her parents. Long into the night, stories and tales of adventure were shared. Lanterns were lit, the door was left open for a breeze, and Ma kept plying her two lost chicks with food and drink. When she wasn't doing that, she sat next to Abby and held her hand, as if to reassure herself that Abby was really and truly there. Introductions had been made between Luke and Uncle Samuel, whom Abby had met so long ago that she scarcely remembered him. He looked a lot like Pa, but was grayer and thinner. His illness had taken a toll, and when Abby and Luke had gone on a tour of things before darkness settled, they could see the ranch needed many repairs. Sarah had long since fallen asleep in Pa's lap and had been carried to her straw-thick mattress. Around midnight, when Ma went in to check on Sarah, she came back carrying the old cookie tin. Captain McDonald found this on deck the night of the storm. She handed it to Luke. "What's inside is yours, Luke. It's what kept us hoping against hope," she said. "When we saw it, we realized that you must have been on board, hiding in the skiff that broke off in the storm. Every day since, I've prayed the two of you made it safely to land and were on your way back to us." Her eyes were shining with love. Abby looked at her mother and thought, the aloha spirit lives in all mothers who love their children. Luke opened the tin cover and withdrew the 10-inch carving and his pocket knife. He smiled. "Someday I'll finish this for you, Abby." Abby inspected the carving. "Why, Luke, it's Sparks, your dog." Pa sat up. "Speaking of creatures, there are some that need my attention in the morning. I think it's time we all sacked out, don't you, Ma?" Ma nodded and gripped Abby's hand firmly. "I'm awfully happy to have you under our roof again, love." "Speaking of roofs," Pa said, grinning, "there's work to be done on ours tomorrow. I'd be grateful for your help, son." Abby saw Luke take a deep, contented breath. "He knows that we need him." But Pa continued, "In the next few days, Luke, we will write Dagmar and let her know you're here. I don't want anyone to ever go through what Abby's ma and I have been through." Luke bowed his head. "Yes, sir. Don't despair, son. It'll take 2 or 3 months for letters to go back and forth. Maybe longer, if the Lord wills it." Everyone laughed then, and each headed to bed. Abby and Sarah in a tiny room off the kitchen, and Luke to a straw-tick mattress in the front room. Later that night, Sarah, still sound asleep, snuggled up to Abby and tossed one leg over her sister's, as if to keep her close. Satisfaction poured through Abby. "Thank you, God," she murmured before she fell asleep. Abby woke to the smell of coffee brewing and the sound of her mother humming in the kitchen. The sun had been up a couple of hours already, and then she heard hammering. "Pa must be up on the roof working," she thought to herself. As she entered the kitchen, she saw Ma was heating water for her and had put the old copper wash tub out. "You said you'd love a bath, so I got it started for you." Abby had her first bath in over a month, with hot water and some of Ma's special lilac soap. She dressed in clean clothes from her trunk and felt like a princess. While she pampered herself, Uncle Samuel fed sugar for Abby and watered all the horses. Then, racked with weakness, he retired to his room for a long nap. "He was even worse when we got here," Ma said, over an afternoon break, as they sat alone in the kitchen table. "Things are in a sad state of disrepair." She shook her head as she glanced at all the clutter Abby's biologist uncle had collected over the years. "What is it, Ma? Pa can fix all those things with Luke's help." Ma stirred sugar into her cold coffee. "It's not that, Abby. It's the great Mahel. What's that? The king has finally agreed to let the common people here buy their own land. For the first time in the history of the island, some of the land won't belong to the king. Until now, most of the islanders were like servants to him, and he owned everything. Just like in ancient Europe under the feudal system? Abby asked, amazed. The common people were like serfs? That's right. Well, now they can purchase the land they lived on, which is very kind of the king. But there's one problem. They have to pay the king a quarter of its value. Why is that so bad? It sounds like a good idea. A good deal. A lot of the chiefs and royalty are well off, and they can easily purchase large tracts of land. But most of the common people can't. And I'm afraid that your uncle's illness has taken all of his money. He can't afford to buy back the land he was given by the king years ago. Oh no, Abby sighed heavily. Are we going to have to move again? What if we sell some of his cattle? She asked. He's already sold most of his herd just to survive this last year. There's nothing left. She didn't have to tell Abby they were broke too. They couldn't help poor Uncle Samuel, for they had come here not only to help him physically, but also to share in his land wealth. Now that land was slipping away from them. Abby didn't know what to say to cheer her mother, so she picked up the broom and started sweeping the whole house. At least I can help in small ways. It was the first time in her life she didn't complain about sweeping. In fact, she was glad for the chance to do something for her mother, who loved her so much. Later, she helped Ma prepare a simple supper of beans, baked potatoes, and salt pork. Luke and Sarah didn't know the seriousness of the family's financial situation, so dinner was another happy time of tale swapping and joke telling. Uncle Samuel got out his banged-up guitar and strummed a few tunes while everyone sang. But that night, Abby could not sleep well. And that is the end of chapter 20 of Abby Lost at Sea. And we will start chapter 21 very shortly.